Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending You and Your CRM, How the Relationship Works. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get going. If you put your Q&As in the Q&A sector of the presentation, I'll spend about 10 minutes at the end just covering those. So if you have any questions, please put them there. We also do have someone working on the chat side of things, so if you have some questions about that, please go ahead. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Stuart Sim. I am the head of industry development at Chime Technologies and brand ambassador. So my role is to go out and talk about the concept of CRM and what we do at Chime. Today, we're going to keep it very much about you and your CRM. So my background, I have 22 years in technology, working with CRM companies. And before that, I was involved in HR software, which was candidate management. But the last 12 years I've spent in RE technology. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, but I do spend a ton of time down in the US. So let's get things rolling. So you and your CRM. So what should your CRM do for you? And when I'm speaking often out to groups of large people, you want to make sure you choose the right CRM for you. So it should be intuitive and really easy to use. So part of my time in RE Tech was with Top Producer, and I used to hear the frustrations from people about how complex the system was, and it was very difficult to learn. So make sure that you find something that you are comfortable using. You want it to make sure it's customizable, so you can actually bring your business concepts, or if you're using a coach, into the system to make it sure that you organize it the way you want. One of the most important things for a realtor is the time that they have in a day. So you want to make sure that there's some automation, some artificial intelligence built in to make sure that you're getting good follow-up instantaneously with potential customers or long-term customers. It's obviously going to help you maintain those long-term relationships, because what you do want to do is make sure that you're sending relevant information, and you can actually set that up in most CRM systems to provide really strong information to your long-term, or not top of funnel, but further along your funnel if you plan on doing multiple transactions with one person. And obviously you want to deliver high conversions. And when I talk about conversions, we're not just talking about your lead funnel or what you're bringing into the system, but again, your long-term follow-up for customers that you've transacted with in the past, but also ones that come into your system as a lead and they don't convert. Those people are even more important, because you are spending money on those. And you want it to be mobile. Most realtors spend most of their day in their car or on the road or in an open house. You want to make sure you have access to your CRM and full functionality of your CRM on your mobile phone or via a tablet. So I wanted to present with some interesting stats about CRM, which really shocks me. So first of all, only about 27% of agents are using a CRM today, or a system. And you can see at the bottom of this screen, I talk Outlook and Gmail are not CRM systems. Those are contact managers, and they really don't do much for you other than give you the ability to send emails back and forth. Of the 27% using CRM, only 20% are using 20% of the functionality is being used in CRM. So people are using it really as a good contact manager and some follow-up, but really if you're going to invest in a CRM, you really should be getting the most out of it as you possibly can. And that's one of the things we really preach at Chime, is user adoption. Whether you're a single agent or a brokerage, it's super important that everybody is on the same page. And if you're using an ISA, or if you have a team, super important. The reason is conversion rates for leads are traditionally really low. If you look at some of the main lead providers out there like Realtor.com or Zillow, the traditional turnover on those leads was somewhere between 1% and 3%. What we'd love to see as an industry, and when I do these kind of round table industry talks, we're talking of getting it somewhere between 8 and 12%. And I really like what some of the iBuyers are doing out there. The power buyers that are working with agents to help that conversion, and some of the new lead programs like Zillow Flex, and there's a couple of other companies that are doing some really good work like Rupler and Ylopo. Before I get into kind of the role of a CRM as an agent or as a broker, I want to take a step back. And as an agent, what you really want to do is think about next year, how your business is running today and what it's going to look like in 2023. So one of the things I really preach is sometime in Q4 of this year, you should start thinking about next year. So October, November. So you should have a plan. And really what you want to do is set some goals and targets that are really specific to your business. So, let's just pick a number and say you did 50 transactions this year. How many transactions do you want to do next year to really see that you can grow your business? So have a plan in place of how to get there. And when you think about a plan, it's not just about those transactions. It's about how much are you going to spend on marketing? How are you going to drive business? But the second thing you want to do is you want to make sure you revisit that plan on a regular basis to make sure that you're hitting your targets. Marketing and technology should play a major role in that for sure. Set a marketing budget and decide what technology is going to benefit you as a real estate agent. And if you think of the last 15 years, you think about the impact on social media and what it's done for real estate or SEO and pay-per-click. And all those have to be part of what you think about when you're doing that. So if I look at, I've got an example plan here that I want to talk about. So in my plan, I want to add 8 new prospects every week to my database. And when I think about a database, I am thinking about my CRM or my contact manager, whichever one I'm doing, not email or Gmail. So if I have 8 people added every week, that's 32 people per month or 384 people per year that I'm looking to add to my database. And you think about 384, some people would look at that as a big number. Other people would look at that as a very small number when they're thinking about growing their database, where they're looking at into the thousands. But the question I really need to ask myself about my plan as a real estate agent is, wow, where do I find those 8 people every week? I know it's one of the things that real estate agents struggle with, but I think it's really important for you to determine where you're going to see the results. And more importantly, what is my conversion rate and does it get me to my goal? So one of the big topics of conversation out there right now, specifically with the broker community, is talking about cost per lead versus cost per transaction, which is an interesting conversation to have because you can have a lead that only costs $30. But if you're only transacting 1 to 3% of those and you're getting a couple of hundred, the cost per transaction becomes very relevant and quite expensive in the greater scheme of things. But it's just something to consider. So then I asked myself, where do I find those people? And this is the best part of your business. So there's lots of places to find them, and you can break it down into individual spots where I might say, I'm going to get 2 leads every week from social media. I'm going to spend a little bit money on SEO and pay-per-click, and I might get 1 or 2 leads there. I'm going to continue to knock on doors, and I've got a great IDX website. And before you know it, you can actually see where those 8 people are going to come from every week. I really believe that 8 is a low number, and I think you can do better, but it's a really good target to try and achieve. But again, if you don't have a plan around this, you're kind of just trying to run your business on a whim, and you don't really have any organization around it. So, put some thought into a real smart business plan, which includes your marketing technology budgets, what you're going to spend on a regular basis. If you're going to get down the paid lead program, which is a big thing in North America with Realtor.com, Zillow, Bold Leads. I mentioned Roopler before. And these people that you're bringing in should all end up in your CRM system, because what that allows to do is nurture and bring them through kind of your concept. So whether you're working with a coach or you've got a mentor that's kind of guiding you through the process, typically they would have systems or methodologies in place that you want to follow. So, you can build something that Chime does is our smart lists, where it actually helps you build kind of a follow-up plan for your customers. Some of it's automated, some of it does require human interaction, but most of all, the important thing is you're getting back to these people that you are trying to create business from. Especially in these tough times with the way things are going and spreading out over the next, I'm going to say 2 years, with interest rates rising, people have less money to spend. Home prices are very expensive. So you really have to be on your game. One of those having the correct plan. So let's talk a little bit about CRM and what is CRM. First of all, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, which means everything I do with a customer should be tracked within that system, whether I send them a text, whether I send them an email, and just basic contact information from how they came into your system, so you can actually develop a strategy around that, what programs are successful and which ones are not, in which case when you do build that plan, you're going to spend less money on that. So let's talk about the impact of CRM. So the first thing you need to do is keep your data up to date, right? So if you find out that someone has actually transacted and they've moved, make sure that you make the changes to your database. So whether it's an email address, a personal address, or something like a phone number that is really relevant to how you are actually doing the follow-up with your agents is very important. Make sure you're following your calendar. And when I talk about your calendar, I'm really talking about your tasks. So what you need to do to keep up with the system. So if you were supposed to call someone because it was their birthday on June 9th, you got to make sure that you're doing that, checking it off so the system's updating. Most importantly, use fresh content in your automated follow-up. People don't want to see the same thing on a regular basis. So if you're going to send a CMA one week, send an interesting article about the market the next week, but also there's localized content you can find out there that is really, really super relevant to what's happening in your CRM, because that's what's going to drive interest. I use the example of social media. So Facebook, I worked for a social media company for a while. And one of the things that they recommend outside for real estate agents love to post listings that they've got, or just solds that they've just got, but they forget about the new content that is really relevant. So when you're posting to social media, make sure that you're localizing everything, but you're posting it on a regular basis so your customers get a good solid view. The other thing I recommend highly is posting testimonials wherever you can, whether that's on your IDX website or if that's on your social media site. A lot of the CRM vendors today are automating that process. So as long as you're up to date on what you're doing, you can actually make that happen without a lot of time or a lot of time work. So first and foremost, what you want to do is define some rules about what is going into your CRM. You don't want to lose contacts, and you want to make sure they're up to date. So you need to define those rules. And a lot of time, a broker will have those rules in place already for what information they should be gathering. So again, I'm a true believer in CRM, and I believe that the content that you're putting in there is what's going to help you drive your business more than anything. So an email, a text message, an article that you might send out to your client base, make sure that that is actually all tied to the client record. Also little things like birthdays, interests, items of interest, where you might want to connect with someone based on, maybe a past sale or a conversation that you had 7 years ago when you interacted with them at first. Maybe you want to reach out to them again, and you want to make sure your CRM is set up so you're doing that. Most importantly, take the time to learn the system and get the most use out of it you possibly can. So I mentioned this earlier in the call, but when I was working with Top Producer, that was one of the things we heard all the time was, it's so complicated to set this system up. I don't have the time in my day. Honestly, this is really important. Get to know at least minimum, the basic functionality. I like to say at least 40% of the features and functionality you should be using on a day-to-day basis, because this system's in place to help you grow your business and help you maintain the business that you have today. Integrate it and connect with other systems. So if you are using third-party lead generation systems like Zillow or Realtor.com, it's important that those systems integrate well with your CRM, because if you're pulling data or those 8 names that you're getting every week and you're pulling them from social media, your lead generation tools, everything from a postcard campaign, you want to make sure that those systems are integrated into your CRM, because those people are going to then come into your CRM as a new prospect. And I'm not sure if everybody in the call is aware of this, but the reality is if you don't reach out to that customer within the first 5 minutes, another realtor will. And the faster you reach out to someone, the better chance you get of getting the listing from those people. So it's very, very important to have the integrated systems. From a broker perspective, we look at things like transaction management and the accounting that's going on in the background, and really believe that that is a key component, because then you're tracking everything in one system instead of having to look at one system and then go to another system and then go to a third system, which is often the case. You know, we're buying single-use entities where I believe that really everything has to be combined. And that's one of the philosophies we have at Chime, is building everything in-house. So we deliver a full platform that realtors can really use and understand, and it's all available in one place. And now there's other systems that are like that as well. But I think that's super important. I believe that's the future of where we're going to go, and we're going to get less reliant on multiple different systems and using just one. What do I need to have as part of my plan? You know, we're talking about, you know, the basic as a real estate agent back in the day. You know, you used to go knocking on doors, have that bus bench on the corner, and postcards were really relevant. But today there's some basic systems that you need to be using. So let's talk first about an IDX website. It's a must as a real estate agent. And I think it's 72% of agents, or 82% of agents have current websites, but they do need to be interactive, and they need to speak with your MLS, because that's the data that's going to become relevant, and that's going to be up to date. You do need to have a strong social media presence, and social media, there's some interesting stats around that. ComScore came out with a stat that in the last 2 years, specifically since COVID really hit, social media activity has risen by over 80%. So if you don't have a social presence, you're going to be missing something. And all of this ties back again to your CRM. You need to embrace technology. There's some crazy new technology out there, you know, from virtual tours to better lead generation systems to new social media sites. I've seen recently some realtors having really some great success with a program like TikTok. But minimally, you need to be using Facebook, Instagram, and a couple of others. LinkedIn as a professional tool are very, very important. Right now, video and photography, products like BombBomb or Virtuance are stuff that as a real estate agent, you got to start thinking about. I believe that you need to have a really strong coach or mentor, especially if you're new to the business, right? They've gone through the ringer. They've been through the hard times. Most of them have seen down times like, you know, the massive economic crash of 2008, and they've survived that. And there's a reason for that, is that they understand the business and they know what they're doing. So as a young real estate agent, I would jump on board with someone else, or really put some pressure on my broker to deliver on some of the promises they had when you spoke to them originally about joining their team. Something we always forget about as a group, and we even do it at Chime sometimes, is that we need to get testimonials from our customer, and we need to post those in relevant places like social media, on your website, because past clients telling the world about how good you are as a real estate agent, there's no better story than that, especially when you're thinking about your local market and it's someone that lives in that market where you've had success. It's very, very important, but also building a referral network out there. So if you do have a customer that's relocating, you can help them actually achieve what you want. Within a CRM, you can understand exactly what's going on with your clients and where they're coming from and where they're going to. I always say, you know, give Chime a try, because we do a lot of these things already. So, there is a special right now on Chime subscriptions for anybody at Exit Realty. If there's any questions or anybody wants to have further discussion, please put them in the Q&A. No questions?
Tamika has a question, Stuart. I think she's typing in the chat. Steve also asked if we have any training videos regarding the CRM and websites. We have an entire channel on our YouTube about basically everything Chime. So it's called the Weekly Chime Playlist. And you can go through any of those and kind of see, we do a lot of demos. You can really see the platform up close and personal there. So I would check out our YouTube channel. And yes, Tamika, anyone can get the discount if it's a new subscription. So if you already have Chime, then that doesn't apply. But if you are a new subscriber, then yes, please go to that link that I posted in the chat. Throw in your information in that form and we will reach out and make sure that that discount gets applied if you choose to subscribe.
Yeah, the other thing I'm going to add is we are going to be doing more webinars and educational stuff with Exit. This is kind of our first kick at the can. So watch out for sessions that are going to be driven. So there will be some more discussions and a much deeper dive on how CRM can be successful with Exit Realty, but also there will be some specific training videos on features and functionality of the product that we'll be working through in the next few months.
Rocco, we do have some transaction coordination aspects of the platform. So I would recommend reaching out to our customer success team and they can kind of go through that, what that looks like in your specific account. A lot of brokerages have their own kind of paperwork system that they want you to use though. So, but we can definitely talk about how, you know, that aligns with whatever your brokerage is wanting from you. So I would reach out to our CS team.
Yeah, and we will be expanding on our
portal.
We will be expanding our transaction management functionality over the next 6 months. Okay, so thank you very much for attending our first of hopefully many webinars with Exit Realty. Hold on, one more question. Drip campaigns are the best. It depends. Again, I'm a believer that you really have to use every piece of your system to make it work. So obviously SEO and pay-per-click are really huge, but I would actually start thinking about, you know, a combined effort where you're using email campaigns, SMS messages, but also social media is going to have a massive live impact on your business. So thank you very much for attending, and hopefully we'll see you very soon, and have a great day and great week.